Welcome everybody, my name is Doragon, and let's be honest about things here. We need to talk about that Microsoft Activision Blizzard deal. So I've ruminated on this situation overnight. The news was announced 1 or 2 p.m. on the 18th of January here in the UK, and I didn't see it until I finished my workday at 5 p.m. So I felt it would be too knee-jerk to try and get a video out immediately. So I've sat on it, I've thought on it, I've read the press release directly from Microsoft, and I've read a bunch of the interviews or the quotes from the interviews that people have had with the likes of Phil Spencer and co. And I'm torn. That's going to be the upshot of this video. I don't know how to feel about this deal. For every negative, there's a positive. For every positive, there's a negative, and so on. My first initial thought when I first saw it was, damn. Now, I don't own an Xbox console, nor do I own a PC of any variety, and there are many people in my situation. And then within the last 12 months, Microsoft have bought up 2 of the biggest third-party developers. First of which was Bethesda, all of whose games moving forward are going to be Microsoft Xbox exclusives. And now they've bought up Activision Blizzard. And as somebody who doesn't own an Xbox, as somebody who doesn't own a PC, as somebody who is lucky enough to be able to afford xCloud and Game Pass Ultimate that way, I can still play these games. But I'm a minority. People like me who play all over the show, we're the few, we're not the many. And most people will choose a singular platform and stick with it, because they will get the best of the third parties, and for them they will get the best exclusives. That was my initial take, that this wasn't a good thing for the industry. My second take, bearing in mind this all happened within a few seconds in my head and it's taking me much longer to explain it to you on camera, my second take was still also, damn. This is $70 billion that we're talking about here. It's a sum of money that is so extravagant and out there that I can't fathom it. I have no idea what $70 billion actually buys. So that's what we're talking about here. $70 billion. It's an unfathomable amount for the average person. But I play Xbox titles, I enjoy Xbox titles, and I would love more studios to come into the Xbox umbrella, because they can have the money put into them, which will allow them to create something amazing. But to do that, I have to play these things on the cloud. And I have just witnessed Microsoft throw $70 billion at a failing company rather than throw some of that money at their failing cloud service. Massive League Gaming put out a tweet not long after he got wind of this announcement saying, is there a better deal in gaming right now than Xbox Game Pass? And I replied with, pretty much anything that works more than 50% of the time. Because that's what I'm getting. With Game Pass Ultimate xCloud, I'm getting maybe 50% of the time good connection, good gameplay. The other 50% of the time, I've either got VHS rolling, stuttering, or no game at all. Despite my connection having an 8 millisecond ping, 550 megabits per second down, and over 40 megabits per second up. Microsoft need to be funding where people play, how people play. They need to be shoring that up before adding more studios and more games. But those two thoughts were quickly overtaken. Like I say, this all happened within a few seconds in my head. It takes much longer to explain it on camera. The moment I'd had those two negative thoughts, there was one very big positive thought. Activision Blizzard abuse their staff. It's been the case for over a decade now. Microsoft, in the US system of working, don't treat their staff in that archaic manner. They treat them quite well. Now, don't get me wrong, they're a business, and a business is run by humans. Humans make mistakes. Humans get things wrong. And there will be people who have had absolutely terrible experiences with Microsoft. Microsoft tend to treat their staff well. With them taking over Activision Blizzard, there is an opportunity to clean house. There is an opportunity to get rid of Bobby Kotick and every bit of senior management that has overseen this abusive culture for the past 10 plus years and start fresh. Put people in place who are right for the role, who can draw the creative juices out of the people underneath them, and more importantly, can protect them, can treat them as human beings, and start to help the healing process for many of these people. That is an overwhelming positive. If we never get another game from Activision Blizzard, if nothing comes from this deal other than the people working there are treated better and are allowed to heal, that's worth the $70 billion alone. People matter more than anything else. People's health and well-being matters more than anything else. $70 billion to protect that for so many different studios under a single publishing house. That's a good deal in my eyes. So that was my first few seconds. And that overwhelming positive, it really did put that negative of, damn, games are going exclusive somewhere else that have been third party previously, and damn, the funding is not going towards xCloud, which really, really needs it. The positive of staff might be protected really shot to the top of the list. There are those concerns though. The exclusivity concern is a big one. Like I say, there's loads of people who don't have ways to access Xbox titles or money to access Xbox titles. xCloud, Game Pass Ultimate, it's a premium subscription service. £10.99 a month here in the UK. Compare that to Stadia Pro's $8.99, PlayStation Now's $4.99. It's a big price to ask for a service on a monthly basis. And a lot of people don't have that money and have made a choice elsewhere for their entertainment gaming options. So I understand the concern about exclusivity, especially as we've seen them say everything from Bethesda will be exclusive. But in the press release, Microsoft have been very sensible. And there is history that would say they could and probably will keep a lot of these franchises multi-platform. That history is Minecraft. That's still multi-platform today. It's still being developed across multi-platforms. It's still being developed and supported so well across multi-platforms, I can still play it on my PlayStation Vita. That's the support that they're offering for communities outside of Xbox on Minecraft. Now, Phil Spencer has, I'm paraphrasing here, but he has said that Microsoft and Xbox are not willing to uproot their communities from Activision games to come over to Xbox. To me, that means your Call of Duty, Overwatch, any multiplayer type game published by Activision Blizzard will stay multi-platform in current release and future releases. And the reason for that is it just makes monetary sense. You have basically a sort of 50-50 split with Call of Duty. So many more people play it on console than PC. And on the console side, it's a 50-50 split. Nearers makes no difference. I think it's like 1% either way. But it makes no difference. You can't cut off 50% of your revenue stream. It makes no sense. No sense. So keeping these franchises releasing as they do currently, keeping them on the platforms that they are on, it just makes sense. So I think, like the multiplayer side of things, we're going to see it continue as if nothing has changed. It will be the single-player side that will be a bit more interesting. The likes of your Tony Hawk's Pro Skaters, the likes of your Crash Bandicoots, the likes of your Spyro the Dragons. I think it would be an amazing irony if Spyro and Crash went Xbox exclusive after they started their life as PlayStation exclusives back in the PlayStation 1 era. But it would make sense. They need exclusive titles to pull people in. They need big sellers to pull people into the Xbox ecosystem. And that gives you a family-friendly option as well, which is something they are missing a little bit at the moment, except for maybe Psychonauts 2. The final piece, and this was one of my first reactions, was the monopolization of the industry. Monopolies are a terrible thing for any industry. A monopoly will quell advancement, innovation, and competition. When you quell competition, there is nothing pushing you to be better. Look at Formula One, for example. In the last 8 years, Mercedes have won the Constructors' Championship. But they have still had to innovate. They have still had to advance their technology. If they hadn't, other manufacturers would have come in and won, because they were advancing to beat the best in the competition. And in the last year, in 2021, we saw a non-Mercedes driver win the World Championship for the first time since 2014. Competition breeds innovation and advancement. It's the same in every industry. And it's why we need multiple different platforms to play these games on. It's why we need third-party titles. And it's why we need exclusive titles. Because it pushes innovation, makes people stand up and take note and be better at what they do. Microsoft in the past 12 months have purchased 2 of the biggest third-party developers in the industry. They've purchased Bethesda, and now they've purchased Activision Blizzard. But it's not a monopoly. With those 2 purchases, Microsoft have elevated themselves. By revenue mind, we're not talking development studios and houses and such in-house. We're just talking about profits here. They've elevated themselves to 3rd in the list with those 2 purchases, which means they're still behind Sony and Nintendo. It's therefore not a monopoly. But what it can do, with the finances that Microsoft can offer these development studios, and the chances that they can give them to expand and spread their wings a little bit, because under Bobby Kotick and his abusive regime, every single studio has been squashed down to just making Call of Duty. So allowing those to expand back out could give us new IPs, could give us new stories, new mechanics, new ways to play that aren't blockchain NFT BS, please. Opportunity is a big word that is being thrown around, and I believe it. I believe there's a lot of opportunity here, but as with everything on this list, time will tell. There is, of course, concern. Microsoft have set a precedent within the last 12 months to just buy success. They've thrown $77 billion around in the last 12 months. What's to stop them opening up that bottomless checkbook and signing other big checks for Take-Two, Square Enix, Ubisoft, and just buying up all of the third-party developers? Okay, there's regulatory rules and such, and even this deal, the Activision Blizzard one, isn't finalised yet because it's got to go through those regulatory checks. But once it has, and it becomes part of the Xbox universe, there's nothing to stop them buying more. If the whole monopoly situation is just based on profits, they could buy all of the third-party developers and just about break even with Nintendo. But then who's left to make stuff for every platform? Bungie, at that point. An independent. Look, there's questions. There are many, many questions over what's good, what's bad, what are the ins and outs of this particular deal. But the reality of the situation is We don't know. The reality of the situation is, until more information comes out, until we get more press releases, until we hear more from the regulations and such, we don't know what this is going to mean for the industry. We don't know what Microsoft's next steps are going to be. We should voice those concerns, 100%, but we should also take the positives that exist. And for me, in this whole thing, the only thing that matters is the people. Protecting the people who work at Activision Blizzard from the abuse that has been cultivated as a full-on culture within the development studios. Stopping that, squashing that, and getting rid of the bad blood, that's a positive. And that alone, if we never see another Activision game again, if we only see improvements in the way that the business is run, that's worth the $70 billion alone. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section down below your thoughts on this acquisition and merger, whether they're positive, whether they're negative, whether there's something I've not spoken about that you're thinking on. Hit it all up down below. Let's have a conversation. In the meantime, though, don't forget to do the usual YouTube things. You can hit that like button. That helps the YouTube algorithm massively. There's also the subscribe button and the bell next to it for notifications of when new videos go live. In the description box below, there's going to be a link to a better Activision Blizzard, who are the employee group supporting all of the requests of Activision Blizzard employees. They've been holding Bobby Kotick and his senior management to account so far, and they have already promised to do the same with Microsoft, Phil Spencer and co. So give them a follow, because supporting them will support the staff at the company and make sure that they get treated correctly moving forward. There'll also be links to my socials in the description box below. But otherwise, guys, your viewership is more than enough for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Doragon. These are my thoughts on the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard. That's more difficult to say than I anticipated. And until next time, have yourselves an absolutely fantastic day. And take care.